Jerry Oldman. My podcast is called Teachings in the Air.
And tell us a little bit about what the topics you talk about on your podcast.
The podcasts that I'm doing are specific around health and wellness. And the target at the start was Indigenous males, men's wellness. So then, of course, after I done my first podcast, then I started to target all Indigenous people and whoever wants to listen about health and wellness. And because I talk about health being sound in mind, body, and spirit. And the spirit part, I was surprised when I found out that the word health actually looks at that too. So I said, hey, that's a cool word, because Indigenous people always thought that way, that our spirit needs to be healthy. So I started the podcast because I wanted to get to Indigenous youth, and I knew they were on social media. So I said, perhaps I can get to them through a podcast, so I started doing the podcast last year. So this is going to be my second year.
And how many episodes have you done
now
so
we
far?
Have 10. We have 10 recordings called Teachings on the Air. You can get them on Spotify or Google Play or the website, teachingsintheair.ca.
So have you had specialists that talk about mental health and wellness in the community?
Yes, I do. I've done interviews on my podcast, but most of the time it's me talking about, my experiences, because I've worked in human services since 1976.
And how did you find out about the podcast festival? Have you been here before?
No, I haven't. I live in Brandon, Manitoba. My wife and I moved there 3 years ago, and I religiously read the paper every day, the Winnipeg Free Press and the Globe and Mail. And I seen the advertisement for this as International Podcast Day, so they're going to have this panel here today, so I wanted to come and listen and learn.
So on your podcast, have you got feedback from outside of Manitoba, Canada, that people listen to it?
Yes. I think we've had 27 countries do a hit on the podcast.
Wow.
Russia, there's a guy in Russia that listens.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And so if people want to find your podcast, they can just look you up on the Facebook page and...
Yes, teachingsintheair.ca. Just go there and you can see. And also, like I say, you go to Google Play or Spotify and you'll find it on there too. It's called Teachings in the Air.
Well, thanks very much for talking with us, and good luck in the future podcast you produce then. Thank you.